is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Yes, it is. Welcome aboard. Time to have a little fun here on the show. Yes, nice, beautiful Thursday morning out here at Toyota of Hollywood, 1841 North State Road 7. We'll be out here. We got a couple of guests joining us too today, as Michelle Kaufman will stop by at 2 o'clock with her Inter Miami report. And how exciting, right? Because we're the only show in town that's been talking Inter Miami for, I don't know, about 9 months now. We've had a weekly Inter Miami segment with Michelle Kaufman and kind of preparing you for the season. We're here, man. It's going to be fun. So she'll join us at 2 o'clock. At 1 o'clock, we will have our Canes Wear Miami Hurricanes report. Now, remember, both of those reports normally on a Tuesday, normally on a Wednesday, but this is not a normal week for me, obviously, for Bill, because of everything that's gone on, obviously, personally for me. So, we've been able to overcome the setbacks, as we always do, because we got to do it. That's what life is all about. And so we are back on track. So we rescheduled them to be on with us today from 1 and 2 o'clock. So we have that. Obviously, we got the chat board going on YouTube. We've got the accidentlawfirm.com text line also. So you guys can chime in and reach out to us on the accidentlawfirm.com text line. We'll be out here till about 3 o'clock, something like that. So come on by to Toyota of Hollywood at 1841 North State Road 7 here in Hollywood. Steve Ostrov, all the boys out there. Herbie, I see Herbie just got here. Eddie's not here. I think Eddie's off on Thursdays. Who else we got? I mean, so many people out here. It's amazing the amount of people in here. It's like a mall. They just were pulling out one of the Supras because they sold it. And they've got several other Supras here, obviously a large selection. We just posted that video of the Supra getting wheeled out, which that's a hell of a car, man. I'm telling you. Anyway, so we got a man. I got so much on my mind right now that I want to talk about, from the combine to the Panthers playing tonight, the Miami Heat last night. So let's open up a little bit with the Miami Heat last night. And they lose to the T-Wolves 129-126. They get swept by the T-Wolves this season. Jimmy Butler obviously did not have a good night with the turnovers and then that block at the end by three guys. How do you get blocked by three guys and they all made a good play on you? Right? I mean, that was funky, dude. That you end up you go to the hole and there's three guys waiting for you and they all have an equal opportunity at your shot and they all get it. And the call was great at the end because Eric Reed goes, and Jimmy Butler is taken to the floor. And then when you see the replays, like, whoa, that is just great defense. So it was great. It was funny because you get the homer call, from Eric Reed, which is what you're supposed to get, obviously. And plus, when you see three guys that were against one, you figure somebody bumped them and knocked them down, something along those lines. None of that happened. It was a clean play. And, that's what Eric Reed followed up with, like, wow, that was a great defensive play, because that's what it was. Now, it's pathetic because we've got the Heat losing to the T-Wolves. We got the Heat losing to the Cavs. We got the Heat losing to the Hawks. I mean, these are terrible, terrible teams. They're the worst teams in the league. So Miami now is 7-2 in their last 9 games. I mean, 2-7 in their last 9 games. In other words, they've lost 7 of 9 if you can't do the math. They're 12-14 now in their last 26 games. That's terrible. And that's, we're approaching a third of the season now at the pace they're at, where they're stinking it up. And the 24-8, look, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. It was flukish. They were more prepared for the season than everybody else because they have the hard training camp. So they were better prepared. But as the season goes on now and everybody's getting better, like I told you yesterday, these young guys, their bodies haven't filled out. So they they need the experience, they need the weight room, they need the stamina, they need the intelligence. That's the other thing. These guys are not, they're not at a point right now as players where they know everything that's actually going on. You know what I'm saying? So this is why I tell you that they we're probably seeing, look, what's happening is they're coming back to reality. That's all it is. That's their problem. They're coming back to reality. They're not really 24-8. They're not really a top 4 seed. And look, they get another break with the Sixers and their injuries because Embiid is a sack of injuries. He's injured again. Simmons is out a couple weeks, so he gets to go out with a Kardashian a few more times. You know, they get that break. But like I told you yesterday, the Pacers will end up passing them, and so will the Sixers probably. Although we'll see how long these injuries last and what, because the Sixers cannot play without those two guys. They're screwed if they try to play with those guys. And I mean, if they think they can win with those guys, because all of a sudden now, what are you going to do? Make Tobias Harris a number one? He struggles to be a competent number three every single night. So now you're going to make him a number one. I don't think that's going to work out for the Sixers. So that might be a small break for the Miami Heat. But the problem is, can they take advantage of it? Because right now you're 12 and 16, 12 and 14 in your last 26. You're losing to the worst teams in the league. You're giving up, you're not just losing to bad teams. You're giving up double-digit leads to bad teams en route to losing to them. Okay? It's not just losing, it's how you're losing. It's it's disgusting enough as it is that the Heat are losing to these teams, but the fashion is even more insulting. And I get it. Look, maybe it's just the world balancing out for them. They were never 24-8. Okay? So I thought I was wrong and I was like, okay, wow, they're better than what I thought. And the people that thought that they were a 4 or 5 seed, they were looking pretty good for a while. Now, you know, it's they're lucky that they went 24-8 early on and they were ready. That was really good by the Heat. This will help them in their seeding. But even if they end up at 5 or 6, which is probably where they're going to end up, they're really not a 5 or 6 seed. You know, it's kind of like, again, I've compared it a lot to the Panthers. A couple of years ago when they made the playoffs and they scored 106, 9 points, whatever it was in the regular season, and they really rode on a 12-game winning streak. It's the same thing. They weren't really that good when they got to the playoffs, whatever. They got taken out by the Islanders. That's what this team is. This Heat team is fraudulent, just like that Panther team. That Panther team was a bunch of frauds. They just lived off a streak that changed their season, and they were able to ride it out, and they got in the playoffs, but they really didn't make an impact in the playoffs because they're not an impactful team. And for the Heat, look, again, I told you this yesterday. With all the negativity around them, the fact that they're 12 and 14 in their last 26, they've had a good year. And they're going to end up with a good year overall. And they're going to get in the playoffs. And they'll probably get bounced in the first round like they should. That's all. Let's just be honest with ourselves. And let's just say what it is. Okay? The Heat fooled you, fooled me. At 24-8, we thought, wow, they are better than what we think they are. Okay? And they're not. They're just not. This team is, mediocre. You can't do anything about it. And just got to suck it up and have fun with it. And wherever they land, I think what you have to do now with the Heat is have very little expectations. Okay. We dialed them up and they brought us down to reality and they, clearly made us look a fool, right? Well, now we have reality. Now we see 12 and 14 after 24 and 8. We now know that they are a completely unpredictable team. They're inconsistent. They can't play defense. They can get pushed around. Kind of sounds like the Panthers, by the way, right? Panthers and Heat can score, but neither one plays defense, right? Kind of the same thing here. The only thing is, with the Heat, there's hope because you have Pat Riley, and let me tell you something. And we got to get into this also with the Heat. It's what's the next stage for the Heat now? Jimmy Butler missed a couple of games, and they haven't given us the reason why. Which there's been a lot of drama around Jimmy this year so far with some of these missed games, right? The first one wasn't a big deal because obviously it was the birth of his child, which is extremely important. But everything else after that, he gets nicked up. He's missed games. Now this 2-game absence, and why is there any mystery behind a 2-game absence? Can you guys explain that to me? Tell us what the hell it is. Just say it. Or the fact that you kind of hide it makes it even worse. But let me not look too much into that. Let me explain what I wanted to originally explain. Where do you go with this team into next year if you're the Miami Heat? Is the question. Okay? Because Jimmy Butler's not getting younger. And I'm not breaking any news with anybody out there. But just look at what you're seeing. This is what I tell people a lot. Bill and I talk about this all the time. Not enough people actually watch the games. They might read an article in the internet. They might hear a radio host or something, and that radio host may not have even watched the game himself or TV or whatever. And they just watch some highlights. If you watch the games and you watch Jimmy Butler, he's all go 100%, but his body, you can tell that this is all catching up to him now. And so something's going on with Jimmy that eventually you're going to have him less and less available as this contract goes on. And this is why I get it. I was called a hater and all this stuff because, I'm always willing to say what most people aren't willing to say in the media. You fans out there will say it. But again, you're not in the media and you're not sitting at these tables where you have access to these people and to ask them this. But a lot of people in the media are afraid to bring things up, right? Like, when we questioned Bobrovsky, when we questioned Dale Talon and all this other stuff, when we question anything that goes on, even with the Heat, with Pat Riley and whatever he signs. I told you guys when they signed Jimmy Butler that this deal means nothing unless you add another star in the next 2 years. Well, they failed to add that other star this year. Here's my point. Next year, you add another year on Jimmy Butler. That star you get needs to be a superstar. It cannot be another all-star. That's not going to be enough. Jimmy Butler is not a closer by any stretch whatsoever. Jimmy Butler is not a consistent scorer. And he's not the guy that you want to give him volume shots because then he doesn't become efficient. What I admire the hell out of Jimmy and what he's done this year is because, I know he said last night something along the lines of, I haven't been helping this team win. That's bullcrap, dude. You help this team win, bro. Jimmy does help this team win. His assisting, he helps on defense, his steals, his rebounds, his scoring is not. That's what I'm talking about. But he's been an excellent player for the Heat in all the other aspects. And obviously leadership in the locker room. The fact that he, can help these young guys improve and give them confidence and help them, I think it's immense. So I'm not taking anything away from Jimmy in that sense. You have to compartmentalize my comments here. Okay? Jimmy cannot be your lead guy. He can be a complimentary lead guy. Maybe a 3 is probably what he is on a really good team. But put it this way, what I just said about the Sixers, that Tobias Harris struggles to be a consistent 3, Jimmy Butler was the guy they needed at 3 on that team. You understand? For a championship run like they wanted to make, they shouldn't have signed Tobias. They should have signed, actually, Jimmy Butler. And the balance would have been great because now you've got the 2 better players in Simmons and Embiid, and you've got Jimmy feeding their egos and helping them along the way, because then there's less pressure on him to score. And on this team, there is less pressure for him to score throughout the game because of Duncan Robinson, because of Dragon, because of Adebayo. I don't need to tell you guys. You watch the game, you know what I'm talking about. But at the end of the games, when you got to take control, it's not Jimmy's thing. He's going to be able to hit a shot for you every once in a while, but he's not that guy. And so the pressure now gets even bigger on Pat to get that star next year. Because let me again explain. By 2021, when they have the money, Jimmy Butler is a 3, slightly a number 4 now on your team. Okay? If we've got the rest of this season, all of next year, and then you got to play the entire 2021 season by the time you get to the playoffs. Okay, Jimmy Butler's body, he's no longer a 2 for you at that point. You're paying him like a number 1, but he's not even a 1 or a 2. You understand what I'm saying? He's not Timmy or Zoe. He's not Shaq or Wade. He's not Bosh, LeBron, or Wade. Do you understand? We can go through the different types of teams that you've had in the past. He doesn't equal any of those number 2s. So this is where it's a twofold type of thing. You guys can focus all you want on this year. I think big picture, because this year's nothing. They weren't going to win a championship anyways. They're not getting to the Eastern Conference Finals with this kind of team. So now you have to think about big picture. Where are they going? How do they overcome all of this? And who's the star that they can actually acquire to really elevate? Because you need that star. Adebayo becomes 2, and Jimmy becomes the 3rd. It's what you need, believe it or not. And that's going to be imperative, because obviously Adebayo has already taken that step this year. If he can add another element to his game next year, like the outside shot, especially a 3, and the way that he's handling the ball and facilitating and rebounding and blocking shots and steals, Adebayo can be your star. But he can't be your lead scoring star because he's not there to close. So you need that number 1. All that money that they're saving is for that number 1 that can close out games. And then that number 1 gets Adebayo involved. And then Jimmy Butler is your 3rd to 6th option in a final shot. But he's one of your top defenders, facilitators, team players, those kind of things. And he has been so accepting of that role. And I think he also understands what he is. And that's why he has become more of a team player. Again, I love what Jimmy has done. He's done something that I didn't even think he was going to do. I thought he was going to come here to kind of prove a point, which I didn't think he can prove that point. And that's what I was afraid of. But I told you guys from the get-go that if they don't get that second star, they're toast. Absolute toast in this league. There is no way that they are going to get to a point where we all want to see the Miami Heat become NBA champions. So that's the interesting part about all of this. And remember, the free agent class and everything that goes on this offseason is not good. It's weak. So the question is, can Pat Riley actually find a disgruntled star, Beal, for Washington, or somebody along those lines? It has to be Bradley Beal, even better. Now Bradley could easily become the number one here because he can do some of the things at the end of games that, quite frankly, Jimmy Butler can't do. Quite frankly, nobody can do. But they're going to want to unload that John Wall contract on you. And Miami's not going to have the cap space, and they're going to have to give up all kinds of stuff, and it just becomes a mess. So that one's going to be tough to make happen for the Bradley Beal move. I know that this offseason he signed the extension, he said all the right things, but they went out and had another Washington Wizards type season. So everything changes the following year with all these guys. The mood changes. All of this stuff never stays status quo. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be interesting to see how Miami kind of shifts gears here and tries to overcome all of this stuff. All right, 786 322 1105. That's 786 322 1105 if you want to get in on the program. The other thing I would tell you about the Heat is don't get don't get suckered in with the bait and switch. Because I tell you guys all the time about this that um it's stats are for losers, right? And the other night they lost in overtime. And remember, they were 8-0 in overtime games. But that's not this team that's 12 and 14 now in their last 26. This is a whole different ball club. So somebody tells you, well, that was their first loss in overtime. They're great in overtime. No, they're not great at all. They're a mediocre team right now. They're playing bad basketball right now. If you want to believe stats from the past that are true in the present, then you're just spinning it however you want. The other thing was their home record, right? It was great. It still is. It's a fantastic record, but it's also deceiving. I mean, let's just be honest now. I mean, when you lose last night like that at home, this is what you are now. You're not that unbeatable team anymore at home. You are now going to start losing also at home. And that loss column is going to start growing and growing and growing because this is the reality at 12 and 14 the last 26. This is what you are, man. For almost a third of the season, this is what you are. That's where stats, that's why I tell people a lot of times if you just want to read the box score, if you just want to go do the analytics on something, that's fine. Go ahead. It's not really going to tell you the entire story of really what's going on. A lot of times, the stats, hell, yesterday, the Heat shot 52% from the field and 42% from three-point range. That's not bad, but you lost. Yeah, you scored 126 points, but you lost. So you want to spin it and talk about the offensive stats? They'll look good, but look at the defensive stats. Hey, stats are interesting because they can be spun in so many different ways. Sometimes there are some rock solid stats that are really good for you and really bad for you. There's no doubt about that. But most stats, they're filler. You can kind of use them however you want, positive or negative. You know? So it's one of those things that don't fall for that stuff. I mean, they just lost a 12-point lead, I believe, to Minnesota last night, late in that game. Uh, how do you do that? How is it that you give up that kind of a lead to that team? And then you have the people that make excuses. Well, some guy yesterday was like, "Well, yeah, a good time to pick on the Heat. They've got injuries." And like I told him, "Yeah, it's really convenient for you to talk about injuries, but when they were beating Houston and Milwaukee without Butler, you weren't saying anything. We were commending them. They have better talent than Minnesota. They are a better team than Minnesota. They're a better team than Atlanta. They're a better team than Cleveland. They should have beaten all those teams. That's what you do when you're a really good team. You win those games. Not all, because it's an 82 game schedule. You're going to lose a fluky game here or there. But if you're a really good team, you don't go 12 and 16 and a 12 and 14 in a 26 game stretch. Oh, and let me tell you something. Friday, they play against Dallas. The way they're playing, that's a loss. Saturday, they're playing against Brooklyn. They got no more Kyrie. They play better without Kyrie. That looks like a loss right now, the way they're playing. Monday, they take on Milwaukee. That looks like a loss. Wednesday, Orlando. Not that they're any good, but against the Heat, they're world beaters. And then Friday, you end up with Zion in New Orleans. You realize they can lose a lot of these games that are coming up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. They easily could go 1-4 to 2-3 in these games. I'd be pleasantly surprised if they go 3-2. Pleasantly surprised. Wait a minute. You know what, Bill? I'm changing that. I would be shocked if they go 3-2. Right? What would you? Would you be pleasantly surprised or shocked if they go 3-2 against Dallas, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Orlando, New Orleans? Where are you going? Pleasantly shocked? I mean, shocked or pleasantly
They just
surprised?
lost to Atlanta, Cleveland, and Minnesota. They're going to lose all 5.
Wow. Okay.
No, you just lost to the sorriest teams in the league. You're talking about better teams. What do you think you're going to do?
I can't argue with the man here. I'd love to say, no, you're wrong on this one. When you're right, you're right. You know what? We have to. The third column is I won't be shocked if they lose all 5.
You lose to losers.
Yeah.
You think you're going to win against winners?
Yeah. No.
Seriously?
Yeah. I mean, D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jake Layman blocked Jimmy Butler last night.
You know what? Reality is a bitch slap that it hurts.
Oh,
and
man.
leaves a mark. And look at the marks. Atlanta, Cleveland, Minnesota. Can you get weaker teams in the league? Can you pick them?
You can't, dude. You can't. It can't be more pathetic. The performance that's going on by the Heat, and it can't be more extreme too. That's the other thing that's disturbing. You go from 24-8 to now you're 12-14. Wow, it's just, man, it's sad. Sad. What is it now? You're let me see here.
You didn't just fall off the cart, man. You fell off, got run over, kicked to the ditch, and you're still there.
Yeah. Yeah, no. They're 6. They're let me see what I'm in. Hold on a second. I gotta figure it out. But they at 12-14, dude, that drop off is crazy when you won 24 games in your first 32, and now you've only won 12 games in your next 26. I mean, it's disturbing. It's just crazy that you watch this stuff. Anyway, we are out here at Toyota of Hollywood. I just saw Steve Ostrob now. I see Herbie back there working hard. All the folks out here at 1841 North State Road 7. And folks, they are ready to make your payments until 2021. They've got 0% financing for 72 months. This is why you want to get on down here. The selection. That's what I experienced firsthand. Second, 2 times. One with my mother-in-law. When she came and she bought her Corolla, they had like I don't know, 100 different Corollas or something. It's like a ridiculous number, right? All the colors, all the styles, all the models, the different types. And she got the little souped up sports one that's really nice. It's got the electronic package with the camera and all that. She loves the car. Okay. It's like a mini luxury car for her. You know what I'm saying? So I experienced it myself when I came and bought my car right here, okay? Because my Camry XSE, which I can see it right from here, that's the one thing that I loved also. When I was looking at all the cars, and they got 400,000 square feet, state-of-the-art facility. And when I was looking at the cars here, I wanted to look at the different colors, the different models, all of that. I wanted the panoramic sunroof. I wanted a couple of different things, and then red. It was the one because I love the red car here, the red color that they have for the Camry or the Corolla or whatever. And the color red, the paint job is just perfect. I think it's fantastic. And so I was dead set on the red, but then I go, hey, show me all the colors you have because maybe I see something that I've never seen before. Sure enough, this aquatic marine black or whatever it's called, it is amazing because it's like 3 different colors depending on the light, and I fell in love with the car. And that's what you're gonna do when you come out here to Toyota of Hollywood. You're gonna fall in love with the car you want. You're not gonna settle for something that somebody else. Well, these are the 6 you can pick from. Huh? The hell are you talking about? No, these are the 50 Tundras you can pick from. These are the 100 Corollas. These are 150 Camrys, whatever. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Over 1,500 cars and trucks. It is outstanding. That's why you can pick the car you want, the color you want, the model you want, the style you want, but more importantly, the price you want. So come on out here, man. See Herbie. He's out here ready to take care of you. Great people at Toyota of Hollywood.
Thinking about buying or refinancing a home? Act now. Home values are ticking up. Don't put off making a move any longer. Call Michael Kodsey now at Choice Mortgage Bank, 561-441-2730, while mortgage interest rates are still at historical lows. Call now to get pre-approved and buy your dream home. If you're currently paying over $800 a month for rent, call 561-441-2730 now before interest rates go up. Down payments as low as 3.5%. Veterans may qualify for no money down. If you own a home, but you're upside down, Michael Kodsey can help. If you're being denied by your bank or your loan process is taking too long, call 561-441-2730. Act now while fixed rates are still under 3.5%. Offices in Boca and Boynton Beach. Rates and terms subject to change daily without notice. Equal housing lender. NMLS 122081.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million, whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
The world's biggest band is coming twice. Metallica. Headlining the Welcome to Rockville Music Festival. 2 different nights, 2 different sets. The weekend of May 8th through the 10th. Go to welcometorockvillefestival.com for all information. Get your tickets on sale right now. The one, the only Metallica. Go to welcometorockvillefestival.com.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
All righty. We are back. We take you, of course, till about 3. We'll be out here having some fun at Toyota of Hollywood. Tomorrow, we are always at Craig's Inn Acura Pembroke Pines. As always, we'll be out there from 9 to 11, and then we move over to Hialeah Park, 1 to 4. Big day tomorrow, obviously, with the 5-hour broadcast. So it's a beautiful thing. I have not gone to the roll call today to ask to see what the folks are saying on the roll call. So let's go to the roll call here. Man of 1,005 holds says, "Morning, everybody. The Heat are who we thought they were." Yeah, at least they are what I thought they were. I wish I was wrong. Let's see. Big Mike says, "Good morning from New York City. Hope you're feeling better." Yeah, we're feeling better. Still got a little pain in my leg. A little bit of the gout is still there, but we're still doing it. Ian from Brooklyn says, "Big O, Bill, best sports talk in Florida. Keep healing up well." Thank you, appreciate it. We're blessed, man. We were able to bounce back. I mean, on Monday, I'm writhing in pain, passing a rock, and going through the gout attack. But it didn't stop me. The only thing it stopped me from doing was the show on Tuesday, unfortunately. Monday and Tuesday, obviously. And so, that's the one thing that was a setback, and it sucked. But we're back, man. So we're good. We're not 100 yet, but we're getting close to it, and we'll be all right. Let's see, what else do we have? What up, O? How was the concert last night? The concert was amazing. We saw UFO last night. Yes, last night Bill and I were in Clearwater watching UFO. And what we thought was maybe the last tour and the last performance. Maybe it is in Florida. I don't know, but we'll see. But their last big tour, they may play like little spots. It was good. We hung out with some of the band members too, so it was a lot of fun last night. Yeah, and then we're here rocking and rolling. Clearwater yesterday, like I told you, the whole thing stopped me from actually talking, like expressing myself and energy that I need. I couldn't do that. I can hang out. I can do anything else. I can have a conversation with people. I can watch a concert. I can go to a movie. I can do a lot of things, but doing a 4-hour talk show, that's why yesterday we kind of, okay, I did just about 90 minutes yesterday. So I figured, okay, I wanted to feel my body to make sure that I was all right. And I'm still feeling it, that when it comes to talking, it's not an easy thing to continuously talk like this. So, but it's good. It's good. And we had a great night last night. So blessed, Nico, to see UFO. They were awesome. Let's see, what else do we have here? Big O, we need defense on the Heat. Art of the Sport, which is the person that chimed in on that. I said this yesterday. They're going to get better on defense. They're young, man. Their bodies aren't built up physically, mentally. They need a lot. And so those kids have got to grow up. And this is why you win with veterans in the NBA. You don't win with young guys. We have to be patient. Like I said, that what's going on with the Heat is that they finally are hitting the reality of what they are. You know what I mean? And the 24-8 was a fluke. They weren't really that good. So it's really no big deal. Let's see, what else do we have? Ian from Brooklyn. I'm very excited that Love is the answer in Miami. Rumblings. They're not trading for Tua. Why do you guys? I got to tell you something. Oh, Ty, you get suckered by every bull crap report that's out there. Everyone, you get suckered into it, dude. Everyone. Oh, they're trading for Herbert. They're drafting Herbert. No, they want Burrow. No, they want Tua. No, they want Love. Dude, everybody's just throwing crap up. You got to stop believing all this. This is all fake news. There's no news here. Chris Grier is more tight-lipped than anybody you've ever had in that organization. So they don't know squat about what Chris Grier wants to do at all. Nobody. They're all guessing. That's why every name's been mentioned so far. And they may trade up for, you never know. I hope they don't, but that's my opinion. But I just like this whole thing, like rumblings. Give me a break, dude. All these rumblings. The rumblings were that everybody wanted off the Dolphins. The rumblings were everybody quit. The rumblings were that they were tanking. And Ty, you're gonna believe every rumbling? There you go, dude. You're like 0 for a million because none of these rumblings are ever right. It's just great. It's amazing how some of you still you fall for this crap. Joe Latufo, morning, my brother. Jay says, good morning, Orlando. Good to see you're looking and sounding like yourself. Not all the way, but we're, I don't know, about 80, 85%. But thank you, as always. Let's see. Joe says, I'm telling you all that it is for the Heat. They stink. Well, yeah, right now they do stink. But I don't think they're this bad. I don't think they're 24-8. I don't think they're this bad. I just think they're a bottom ringer playoff team. First round exit and done. NorCal says, looking good, Big O. Welcome back to Earth. Good morning, big crew and listeners. Fins for life. Damn right. Oh, I think the Heat have a nice future. They have 3 great young players in Bam, Hero, and Nunn to build off of. Robinson is also a good role player. They just need one stud to put them over the top. I agree. But it has to be a star, like a real star, a closer type star, because Bam has not developed into an offensive type closer because you got to have an outside shot on a consistent basis to do that in this game. We don't play the inside-outside game anymore in the NBA. And Butler isn't. So, yes, I'm with you, Nico. No doubt about that. Let's see what else. Go Gator says hello to everybody. Richard says, Casillas says, do we dare say we hope Justin Herbert performs well today? Richard, none of that matters. When I'm there or not there for the combine, the running in the shorts, the underwear Olympics means nothing. What matters is what you did in games. What matters is what you did in clutch moments, okay? Hell, what he did in the Senior Bowl matters more than what he does at the combine. The only thing that matters in the combine for Justin Herbert is the interviews to test his IQ, which is supposedly really high. And the other thing is just his medicals. That's it. I don't know why you guys get excited about 40 times or bench pressing or throwing the ball. None of that means a damn thing at all. It's a complete joke. It's a circus. It's a dog and pony show. That's all the combine is. It's more about the interviews and the medicals. That's the only thing. When I go there, I don't even look at the TV worried about what 40 time or whatever. I'll see on Twitter somebody will post it or whatever. I don't care because it does nothing for me at all. And the coaches, they know that all these guys have been prepped for this already. So they've been training for all these drills. It's bogus. It does nothing. Art of the Sports says Lillard. Oh, yeah, maybe Damian Lillard is one of those guys that could be available. You never know. Question is, what are they going to take back? What do they want? That's not going to be easy. Sharif says, Big O, happy Thursday to you and your panel. Thank you on behalf of Bill and myself. Let's see. What else do we have here on the roll call? Peter, why do you always have me taking a dump? What is it with you and dumps? Huh? Huh, Peter? What is it with you and dumps? Huh? You always got me taking a dump. Not taking any dumps, bro. Let's see. Drubo says Publix shopping. Listen to the Big O. Publix? When did I talk about Publix? Did I miss something? I don't know about that one. I don't know what you're doing, Drubo. You're screwing with me here on this? Trying to mess with me? Shivad Body says, Big O, with the Heat struggles, can the coach be held accountable? The defense is horrible. Yeah, you can hold Spo accountable if you want, but I mean, what are we talking about? I'm not, Spo's a hell of a coach, man. I'm not going to worry about that. Spo will be fine, Let's see. Ty from the Bronx says, Big O, the Finns fans will take Love for dinner at Prime 112. Oh, if he plays well, yeah. If he plays like 2018, yes. If he plays like 2019, no. That's what it all depends. So there's a little roll call for you here on the program as we take you till about 3 o'clock here on the show. If you want to get in also on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, you can do that too. And that's at 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105 on the accidentlawfirm.com text line. As we take you close to 3 o'clock here, we got a bunch of things to talk about. At 1 o'clock, we are going to talk to Manny Navarro. At 2 o'clock, we will talk to Michelle Kaufman from the Miami Herald, since we've got Inter Miami starting. And I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to the debut this weekend of Inter Miami. They're on the road against the Galaxy. David Beckham was on Jimmy Fallon. They were asking him about Messi and Ronaldo, if he's trying to bring them here and all that. I think let me see if I can show you the article, because it's interesting that yesterday, or no, not yet. No, I don't think I said it yesterday, but I've been saying it now for the last couple of months, and I've been saying it on Sirius Radio too. I've been making this prediction. Okay, I told you guys that we're in the 2020s right now, right? This is the first year of 2020. And I told you that when we get to the 2030s, the MLS will be more popular than MLB, and they'll move ahead. Have I not said that, Bill? Right? Well, the owner for LAFC came out yesterday and ended up saying the same thing I said. Interesting. LAFC lead owner Larry Berg has predicted Major League Soccer will surpass Major League Baseball in popularity during the next 10 years. And then Inter Miami owner Jorge Mas added it will be a higher quality than the Premier League or La Liga by 2045. How about that? And they're trying to move this league into the promotion and relegation. Beckham talked about this, and he said, and it made a lot of sense, that the league needs to be stable first. Soccer needs to be stable in this country. So you've got to get to a point where you're buying these big time international players with those 3 slots, and then the cap is growing, the attendance grows, sponsorship grows, all of that, because right now it's a profitable league. Okay. And for them to say that, that's pretty awesome. He goes, the owner goes, we definitely have the demographics in our favor, both in terms of youth and diversity, Berg said. So I think we will pass baseball and hockey and be the number 3 sport in the U.S. behind football and basketball. For young people, they're already ahead of hockey by miles. It's not, hockey has nothing on soccer right now. Soccer/MLS, nothing for young people, young. Overall, hockey probably is still slightly ahead of the MLS. I don't know by much, but not by, it's barely, put it that way. Baseball in the next 10 years, they have very little young fans. And I know that they're going to try and all that stuff, but they haven't shown me that they get it. And they're not. And some of the changes that Rob Manfred is making is just plain stupid. Has nothing to do with bringing in young people. It's not about speeding up the game or anything like. Make it entertaining. Football takes forever to watch, but it's entertaining, so people will watch it. Attendance has gone up every week for the XFL because it's been entertaining. Actually, if you watch it, if you don't watch it, then you can't really comment on it and all that stuff. Oh, I'm not going to watch that late. Okay, that's fine. Hey, you know what it reminds me of? I'll get. You know what? I'll get into that later. I'd rather talk about that later. But anyway, so the demographics, he's right. MLS is picking up the young fans. Baseball isn't. 2030, they will be. He goes, I think we will be the league of choice. I think we're already a league of choice for a certain extent. He's right. Whether we can be a top 5 league or a top 3 league will really come down at the end of the day to money and our ability to compete for players. That's right. Now, the ability will also be key in what, like Inter Miami, their sporting director, okay, when Paul, McDonough's like philosophy is to try to find young international players because he likes to keep them, develop them, and then sell them because the contract will get incredible. And most MLS teams aren't ready to pay those real sizable contracts. You've got to get to that point where those 3 slots are being used for sizable contracts. And if you do that, every stadium in the country is going to be packed. And for those of you that, just to give you, because, we actually like do homework here. We look up things, we read. We just don't pull crap out of our ass like some hosts do, or they depend on their producers to put together the show, that kind of stuff. I don't do that. I do it myself. The Atlanta United are drawing 53,000 per game in 2018. This year, 44,617. The Sounders in 18 were at 40,641. This year, they're at 47,297 per game. Portland went from 21 to 25.28 this year, 2-8. Toronto from 26.6 to 23.6. Galaxy's right around 24,000. Orlando City went from 23.8 to 22.4. LAFC, the team that Miami is going to play this weekend, they're at 22,000 last year and this year. In other words, attendance is pretty damn good. 23 for NYFC, which by the way, they have no field. They play at Yankee Stadium. It's an altered field. They've got all kinds of issues. They're still trying to figure out a place to play, but they're still drawing really well. In fact, there was a story about, like most of the fans missing the last game. Minnesota, 23, Vancouver, 21, San Jose, 19, Sporting KC, 19-9, Real Salt Lake, 18-6, DC United, 18-7, New York Red Bulls, 18-6, Philadelphia Union, 18-5. You see what I'm saying? I mean, there's a lot of teams. Revolution, 18-3. Montreal went from 18-5 to 15-2. Dynamo went from 16-9 to 21-7. Columbus is the worst in the league at 12. They've been on the brink of losing their team, or moving it, in other words, is probably what's going to happen because it's such a small market. It's really tough. I don't know what the future is with Columbus and a new stadium, and I don't know if that'll help or whatever, but that one's always been an issue. FC Dallas, 15-6. Colorado Rapids, 15-3. And Chicago Fire, 14-8, which is, the second worst there behind the Columbus Crew. But overall, their weekly attendance is 24,488 as a league. That's way more than hockey and the NBA. Obviously, those arenas don't carry that much, which they wouldn't be able to fill it. Very few teams would be able to fill that anyway. And so it tells you that this sport is growing at an incredible pace. And I believe they're right that in the 2030s, there's no doubt in my mind soccer will pass up baseball. Okay. And it's a shame. I get it. It was America's pastime decades ago. It hasn't been America's pastime in, I don't know. I'm going to go back to the 70s. I want to say the 70s is where the NFL probably passed up baseball in popularity. And then that's it. It's never looked back. The NBA probably passed up baseball by the 90s. The 80s, baseball was still pretty strong, and steroids and all that boosted it early on there in the late 80s, 90s. But then after that, I think the NBA took over. And then they've moved to the third spot. And now you've got the MLS breathing down the necks. I don't even think the NHL is even close to being any kind of a threat. I think the MLS is pretty close to tied or passing up already NHL. And NHL will never become the kind of sport that is, front and center. It's not going to ever be that kind of sport in this country, unfortunately. It's a shame because it's actually the best live sport that exists. That's the funny part. All these other sports are probably made for television. Hockey is the best sport live. It's funny. But the MLS will end up passing both of those when it's all said and done. I completely agree with the owner. I do. All right, 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, you can also reach out to us on Twitter, and that is at Big O Show. Follow us there as always, because that, my friends, is a 24-hour talk show on Twitter, as we're always talking all kinds of things. I was going to tell you about the lazy take sometimes that people have about sports if they don't like it. Like, oh, no, soccer will never make it. Well, meanwhile, those that have been saying it for years, you're looking wrong now, right? Because it's all over the place. There's going to be 30 teams in the league. Stadiums are getting full all over. That you're wrong already. Soccer has arrived. Okay? Not even close. So Bill and I were this weekend at UFO, right? And we're watching, the shows. And I put up a video, and again, the lazy person says, "Where's Michael Schenker?" And it's funny because if you don't follow what they've done for like this, let's say the last 35 years since Michael Schenker's gone, maybe not 35. Well, no, it's pretty much close to 35. But anyway, if you don't follow it, then you're not going to know what the hell's going on. And if you don't know who Vinnie Moore is, I get Michael Schenker's incredible. I understand all of that. But if you don't know Vinnie Moore and you haven't listened to Run Boy Run and you haven't listened to, Wonderland and all kinds of different songs that they've come up with over the last few years, the last few albums, and you've never watched Vinnie Moore shred, you're just being lazy. You know what I mean? And that's why I find it freaking hilarious that, when you don't know something or you don't follow it, you probably shouldn't comment on it. I get it. If you don't like soccer, that's fine, man. To each his own. It's all good if you don't like soccer. There's plenty of people don't like soccer. Plenty of people don't like baseball. Plenty of people don't like hockey. There's actually people now that they don't want to watch football. Hey, man, that's your prerogative. That's fine. Now, if you're not watching something, then you're not educated about it. So don't talk about it. You're better off that way. Just say, not my cup of tea. Not my style. I'm not into that sport. That's it. But when you start following it up with fake facts, just because you dislike it, that's where it okay, I'm not a wrestling guy. Never have been. You'll never hear me tell you that wrestling is minuscule. It doesn't matter. It doesn't rate. It's not important. I would never say that. That's asinine. It's enormous. I don't really like it. That's all. I can't comment on it. You know what I mean? But
I
don't
can.
like it.
I can. Real simple. I used to tell the guys in the neighborhood that like wrestling, the minute that it's in the newspaper, the minute that it's talked about on a new sports show, something newsworthy, I'll watch it. But until then, this is a soap opera.
No, I'm
It's
completely
fictional.
no, because I've seen them talk about it, but or mention it or interview people to
In an
promote it.
entertainment
No,
type
no,
of
even
parameter.
even sports. I've seen it on Sports Center. It's rare, but you'll see it.
Are you talking Roman Greco, real
No,
wrestling?
I'm talking about the WWE crap. But the bottom line is, what I always say to people is, it's not real.
Exactly.
The athleticism is real. They definitely
I'm not going to
they
take anything.
they
Cannot.
definitely are great athletes. They definitely sacrifice their bodies, throwing it around all over the place. So they are phenomenal stunt people playing, an act.
That's a good analogy. That's
That's
perfect.
what they are. And it's a great skill. Don't get me wrong. And I know that, every wrestler that's in a ring can kick my ass. But I also know that would be the first ass they would kick in a ring, mine, because they haven't kicked one yet in a ring because it's all been, scripted. And that's what I say. I don't know. That's why it doesn't turn me on. I don't get. I want real competition. I want it like it's really on the line. You're actually trying to beat the other person, not something that's scripted. That's it. That's my only issue with it, and that's why to me it's not a real sport because it's not real competition. And that's what I get at with that. And those are facts. It's scripted.
If it was real and you were allowed to bring a chair, don't you think that guy would bring like a hammer or a
Dude, can you
billy
imagine?
club or a
Can you imagine
baseball
Hulk
bat?
Hogan really landing on your
Oh
ass?
man, forget it.
Are you kidding me? That he really hits that elbow and is not hitting the mat at the same time to make it sound hard? Come on, bro.
Yeah.
If that guy comes up from the top of that ring with that, you're dead.
They would have new wrestlers every week because the ones from the week before would be
Right.
incapacitated.
Right. Exactly. So, but I get it. It's enormous. People talk about it like a real sport. Hey, do you remember Rumble in 2010 when The Rock farted on this guy and he knocked him out or whatever? It's just whatever. They talk about it. Fine. I get it. I give it its due that it's super popular. It's just not real. That's the only thing I don't like about it. I have a small problem with that. Big O, do you think Zidane will be sacked at the end of the season? Don't know, man. Don't have any insight on that. I don't follow Andres Sandoval. I don't follow the league like I will now. Now that Inter Miami is in play every day from here on out, and we have a dog in the race, I will follow the MLS hardcore now and get to know the league and get to know all the storylines and everything going on. It'll take me a little while. It'll probably take me a season or two to kind of really get in a groove. But I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then maybe I can get a better feel for what's going on. I've read some of the stuff with Zidane, but I don't know. I would be lying to tell you. Well, I don't even want to give you a guess because it's not an educated one. At least if I give you a guess on something, it's because I actually follow it, read up on it, and then maybe I have a good feel for what's going on, and I could give you some kind of a crazy ass prediction that might end up happening. But right now, I don't follow it enough to tell you the honest truth about what I think is going to happen with him whatsoever. All right. Let's see. 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, that's 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on there as we take you, of course, till 2. See what we got here on the accidentlawfirm.com text line. We got the first one I already see is heat related. What do we got? Takes a little bit to pull up here. All Heat fans are very concerned. They look like they do on the road last night, blowing a huge lead and losing. Got to get right next 4 home games. Well, that would be nice, dude, if they can actually do that. I don't think they can. I don't think they will because this is This is what they are, man. That's the problem with the Heat. I think this is what they are. And that's ultimately going to be their downfall, is that they're really not as good as what we thought they were. At 24-8, we were drinking the Kool-Aid. And we were thinking, wow, this is going to be phenomenal. These guys are going to kill it. And it's been far from that. They have completely fallen off the cliff after 24-8 because they probably got exposed now for what, they can't play defense. We can attack them. They're young guys, are probably not physically ready yet at this point, which they're not. Trying to pull up the other text here on the text line, but I'm having issues here. Let's see. Myron says, what's up, Oh? Hope you're feeling better. I know you don't agree with me, but I think the meter knew something about Stanton's injuries to get rid of him soon as he did. Oh, Jeter, you mean? So far, but no, Myron. Okay, look. No. I'm not going there. Jeter knew nothing about Stanton. He knew about money because he got rid of Yelich. And Yelich's contract wasn't anything big. And he got rid of Ozuna. So if he was really, in tune with keeping talent, they wouldn't have gotten rid of all those guys. So giving him credit for Stanton, I give them credit because they got lucky that they didn't keep a guy that clearly is injury prone. But they got rid of Yelich and Ozuna. So that tells and the catcher, damn it, what's his name now? Realmuto, thank you. So they got rid of JT. That tells me that they needed the money and they weren't ready to spend money on this team, which I get it. Since you're loading it up with a whole bunch of young guys, all these young guys aren't going to be ready till 4 or 5 years down the line. Why ride all these ugly salaries, which really aren't going to get you into the playoffs anyway? So I understand what the method behind the madness. So Myron, I keep it real here. Okay. I'm giving the Marlins, this new group, the benefit of the doubt. They have said that they're going to keep talent now. The talent that they develop, they say they're going to keep it. They have not proven to us to be liars in any way, shape, or form so far. Jeter has said all the right things. He's kept it, very PC, but he's been brutally honest about it. He doesn't tell you, well, you should come out and support the team. No, he tells you, I understand why people aren't supporting. We're not winning yet. We got to win. We got to prove it. And I know he sounds like a broken record, but everything Jeter's saying is 1,000% right. And he's being honest. He does have to prove. That's how you're going to get more crowds out there. But they are making at least the attempt to meet people halfway, to try to put together a presentable product, to try to develop young guys. Now we're going to find out if all these young guys that they have are going to start to really develop into excellent Major League Baseball players, or maybe even all-stars and great ones. And then we'll find out when their contracts are up in a couple of years, are they going to start keeping them? That's when the rubber meets the road. And that's what they've said. So to their credit, and when the owner the other day came out and trashed Loria and talked about how, they would sign and get rid of players and all that stuff, that to me, and he called it a silly way to build a ball club, that to me was something that I respected. Now, I'm going to lose total respect for Bruce Sherman if he laughs at Loria and then does the same things as Loria. But I'm not going to treat him like Jeff Loria when he is not Jeffrey Loria. Okay? And I'm not going to treat Derek Jeter like Jeffrey Loria until they prove that they're Jeffrey Loria. So I'm willing to give people the benefit of the doubt. So that's what we have to do with the Marlins. Let's not sugarcoat it. They got rid of all those guys because they weren't ready to pay money. They say they will down the line. Now we got to find out. We'll see. Pellegrino, Go Gator says Pellegrino's whining that Jeter ruined the Marlins, but wants Tua to run the Fins. Well, I mean, everybody's got their own crazy-ass opinions. I've got mine. Pellegrino's got his. It's the way it is. That's why this world is what it is. You know? So what can I tell you, man? You know? And that's the other thing that's that's come to, a head is the Tua stuff is become an interesting story with Tua, because now you've got this faction of people that are just forgetting the recent past, and now you've got to trade up for Tua. And it's the part I don't understand with Dolphin fans is, don't you want a great football team? You watch Dan Marino. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a long time ago. Some of us watched Dan Marino. There's a whole bunch of you that did not see Dan Marino. You did not see the Dan Marino era. You didn't live it, so you don't know it. And that we've had like different stages, okay, with the Dolphins. And when you had the Woodstock stage, all right, let me go back to Greasy. When you had the Greasy stage, you had a running game, you had an offensive line, you had a number one wide receiver, a superstar wide receiver in Paul Warfield. So you had this incredible balance that you can Derrick Henry it all the time and occasionally pass it. And they did that. And it was successful because that's what you can do. Fast forward to the early 80s. You end up with Woodstock. And for you young Dolphin fans that are in love with this whole Tua thing, I want you to listen. I want you to pay attention, because this is a Dolphin history that I want you to learn about, because it's something I lived and watched. And that's the difference. It sucks to get old because you get gout and you get kidney stones, and, it's you suffer setbacks. But the one good thing about being old is you have perspective. And you get to Woodstock and you got a pretty good line. You got a heck of a defense, but you didn't have the quarterback, right? You had the serviceable quarterback that can make some plays. And then you had the lucky part of the strike and all that. And Shula's a great coach, and he could coach up Bill to run for 1,000 yards in a strike scab season, because that's just Shula. It's really not Bill's skills, because he has none. It's really more about Shula, just kind of disguising it and making Bill look a lot better than he really is. You know what I mean? So you end up doing that and you end up having success, but you didn't really win it because you didn't have the right combination like you did in the 70s. Then you get Dan Marino and you think, wow, kid comes off the bench against Oakland, kicks ass. Then the following year, takes over the league, throws for 5,000 yards and the 48 touchdowns and all that stuff, and they get to the Super Bowl and they lose. And why did they lose? Because the San Francisco 49ers had a great quarterback, but they also had a great running back. They also had great receivers. They had a great tight end. They had a great line, and they had a great defense. They had balance. So they could throw the ball if they wanted to. They can run it. They can throw it to Roger Craig. They can kill you down the middle of the field with Dwight Clark. I can go on and on. And their defense with Ronnie Lott and all those guys, they could make plays. Balance. Miami didn't have balance. They were imbalanced because it was just Marino and a couple of receivers and a good line. No running game, no defense. It was all Dan, and he had to make sure he outscored what the defense allowed every week, and that wasn't going to always happen. And when you get to the postseason where you got to be tougher, you got to be better in every stage, they could not elevate their game. So you move forward, right? And you have a broken down Marino, an older Marino with Jimmy Johnson. Your defense was decent. Your offensive line was serviceable. Your running game was average to mediocre. You didn't get anywhere. You got to the playoffs. You had a great coach, but not enough. You go on to Jay Fiedler. Great defense, right? At times, a great running game. Occasionally, a decent line. More often than not, it was a mediocre line. And Jay Fiedler was an average to mediocre quarterback. Average on his best day, mediocre sometimes, not a guy that was going to carry a team. Didn't have the right combination. Let's fast forward again. Let's go to the 7 years of Ryan Tannehill. Okay? Now you got Ryan Tannehill. He can't elevate your team. Occasionally you had a running game. Occasionally you had some Pro Bowl offensive linemen playing on his line. Occasionally you get some play on defense. Never the right combination. You didn't have the kind of quarterback like Marino that could elevate everybody, even over the crap, because that's what Marino was able to do a lot of times, elevate over crap. Tannehill didn't always have crap at times. He had some Pro Bowl guys online. He had once in a while, he would have a decent running game. Once in a while, he had decent receivers in the second half of his career here. Early on, I know the first year or two, the receivers weren't great, but whatever. But it wasn't the right combination. So let me ask you something. You end up trading a whole bunch of picks to move up to get Tua. Then what are you going to put around him? If you're giving up some of those high picks that are going to turn into linemen and D linemen, this is not a year where there's 15, 20 defensive ends. If you want a pass rusher, you either get them at 5 or at 18. At 25 or 6, whatever the hell it is, it's going to be really rare that you're going to be able to get that. It's just the way it is. And now you want them to trade some of these high picks for a guy that's constantly injured. A guy that is going to a league where they hit harder. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, and they play more games. And do you think that in one off season, they're going to build the 96 Cowboys line? Do you think they're going to have what the Dolphins had in the 70s in one off season so they can keep Tua completely clean? Who, by the way, played behind an All-American line in college. Tua's not a great athlete either. So how much did he lose off his athleticism with the hip? Folks, my point is, you draft Tua, you still don't have the right combination. So for the next couple of years, he will play with an underdeveloped line. He will play with a defense that's not great at all right now. He doesn't have a dominant running game. We don't know if they will get one because, like I told you, let's say you want to get Swift, okay? And let's say you want to get him at 18, if he's even there at that point. But let's say you do. Well, then that's a pass rusher you didn't get, and that's a lineman you didn't get. So what did you get at 5? Did you get Tua and then you got Swift? Or did you have to give away the 18th pick to move up from 5 to 3 to get Tua? And then what happens when he does get injured? Because he's going to get injured. So this is why I'm telling you that what's important is that they build a team, is what I've been telling you for months now. I'm not the guy that's going to go crazy that I have to have Herbert, I have to have Tua, because I'm not getting Burrow. No, man. In fact, I've been the one that's telling you that if you have to draft Tua at 5 because you're so afraid that it'll be another Drew Brees, well, then take another quarterback. And I've given you all those names already several times over and over and over again. I mean, we got to be, we got to look at this objectively. And if you were able to get to the Super Bowl with Woodstock because you had a defense and a running game and average quarterbacks, you didn't win, I get it, but it gives you a chance to get there again and again and again. All you got to do is find the quarterback. If you just get a quarterback and then you try to get over the top because you're paying him all this money and you don't have anybody else, then you become Dan Marino. And I don't want to go through that again. So the idea is patience. And I know they have sucked for so long. They have been so bad for so long. It's almost impossible for you to have patience. But you got to have it, ladies and gentlemen. You got to hang in there. You went through the worst season you can possibly go through. You're not going to go through a great season again this year, but I think you'll see progress, which once you start seeing progress, you start to feel better about what you're doing. You know what I mean? And so that's why I say don't panic about this stuff, because that's been the Dolphins' problem for many, many years. They have panicked so much, they've made every bad decision you can possibly make on draft day, on trades, all of those things. This is why it's imperative now that you have patience, that let the players fall to you. Do not force the issue and start giving up all these picks that you moved up for. The idea to have the fishnet approach is now you have a longer net to cast, you have more fish to corral, and so you'll have better opportunities at bigger fish and bigger prizes. You start lessening that, and you're lessening it for a guy that can't stay healthy. You lose all those picks, and you possibly lose him again to injuries. And then where are you? This is not the draft that fixes every problem the Dolphins have, including quarterback. This is the draft that starts to help you fix some of those problems that you have, maybe quarterback. That's the way you got to look at it. All right, 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, that's 786-322-1105. If you want to get in, let me tell you a little bit about Moody's Dental. I got my Invisaligns on. And listen, they are the Invisalign and implant experts. They got state-of-the-art equipment. I don't care if you want to fill a cavity, you want to do a crown, you want to get an Invisalign, you want to get an implant, and they make the tooth right there and then. Your crown, they make it right there and then. No second trips to the dentist with a temporary, none of that stuff. Some of you, you've had the experience, right? You leave with a temporary and it falls a week later, 2 weeks later, you're out on vacation, whatever, and that thing falls, and you got to wait a couple more days, a week or two to get back to the dentist. Moody's Dental, they understand that, so they make it easy on the customer. You go one time, and it's over. No second trip, no second day you have to take off work, no second half day you have to lose from work, no money that you're losing from work. Call Moody's Dental, man. 305-821-0231. When those of you get to the combine, you'll get to see my teeth. Perfect, man. They're already straightening out. It's really amazing, this Invisalign stuff. How you watch it every week, how the teeth, early on you don't notice it, but then weeks in, you're like, wow, this is amazing. What an invention. Anyway, call them 305-821-0231. Call Eric right now. Tell him Big O sent you. Moody'sDental.com.
Plus tax, tech title. It includes $8.99 dealer fee on approved credit offers and 11/10/19. Over 1,500 Toyotas are on the ground, and truckloads of new 2020 Toyotas just keep on coming. To eliminate all 2019 models, Toyota of Hollywood is holding the ultimate 2019 model year changeover event. Make us an offer, any offer, and you can buy a Toyota at up to 50% less than their original MSRP when new and used. 50% less. A pre-owned 2019 RAV4, not $30,000, $19,775. A pre-owned 2019 Camry LE, not $26,000, $17,775. A pre-owned 2019 Corolla LE, not $22,000, $12,775. Pay up to 50% less at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for 2014 to 2018 per SCT, on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street. Open till midnight.
Thinking about buying or refinancing a home? Act now. Home values are ticking up. Don't put off making a move any longer. Call Michael Kodsey now at Choice Mortgage Bank, 561-441-2730, while mortgage interest rates are still at historical lows. Call now to get pre-approved and buy your dream home. If you're currently paying over $800 a month for rent, call 561-441-2730 now before interest rates go up. Down payments as low as 3.5%. Veterans may qualify qualify for no money down. If you own a home, but you're upside down, Michael Kodzie can help. If you're being denied by your bank or your loan process is taking too long, call 561-441-2730. Act now while fixed rates are still under 3.5%. Offices in Boca and Boynton Beach. Rates and terms subject to change daily without notice. Equal housing lender. NMLS 122081.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million, whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
The world's biggest band is coming twice. Metallica. Headlining the Welcome to Rockville Music Festival. 2 different nights, 2 different sets. The weekend of May 8th through the 10th. Go to welcometorockvillefestival.com for all information. Get your tickets on sale right now. The one, the only Metallica. Go to welcometorockvillefestival.com.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
All righty, we are back. We take you, of course, till 3 if you want to get in. Or right there, close to it. If you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, it's 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, you can also reach out to us on Twitter. That's at Big O Show. Follow us there as always on Twitter at Big O Show, because that's like a 24-hour talk show there. That thing never ends. Okay, you want to? You know what? I got a really funny one on YouTube, because now I'm at what's it called? I'm at YouTube now. Answering these things. Not all of them, because I don't have time to answer everybody. It's really crazy. Don't get mad at me sometimes when I don't answer on time, okay? Just so you guys will know. All right? Please don't get mad at me, because it's a lot of things to keep up with here. But some guy on the Joe Burrow piece, he was, I guess he's a Bengals fan. And he goes, "Wow, somebody seems butthurt about Burrow going to, the Bengals. We are building something special on offense." And I'm like, dude, nobody will ever be jealous of the Bengals. Bengals fans are not. That must be the biggest blind ass fan alert that you could ever play for a guy. Is that one right there? A guy that actually believes that the Bengals are headed in any kind of right direction. Are you kidding me? I mean, how stoned or stupid are you? You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. So I go to him, hey, brother, nobody will ever be jealous of the Bengals and Mike Brown, who are not ever committed to winning. Okay. And obviously, if that guy believes that they're committed to winning, he's an incredible fool. I mean, seriously. That this is why there are suckers born every single day. You know? I just to me, I just that was just too funny, you know? Anyway, if you want to get in, it's 786-322-1105. Let's see what we got here on the accidentlawfirm.com text line. Oh, you're systematically acidic. That gout never goes away unless you change your diet to at least 80% plant-based, minimal meat and diet, and avoid anything man-made or processed. All of those meds are treating just symptoms. You're probably right. In fact, you're probably 1,000% right there on that one. So I don't, I don't eat a lot of meat actually. That's the thing. That's kind of the strange part about it is now there are moments that I may in a week have run into it a couple times. I'm out somewhere, whatever, and I needed to eat something, and I ate something, and before I don't realize, hey, I ate a little bacon here, and then I ate a burger there, and then I ate something else that was meat related, and I didn't realize it or something, and I do something stupid, and I get a gout attack. So yeah, you're probably right. It's what I should be doing. Um, let's see, what else do we have on here on the accidentlawfirm.com text line? 5 games, 5 game Heat homestand must dominate after that road debacle. Oh, I guess this came in yesterday before Minnesota. I guess you must feel a little different now. A lot of feeling get well soons, which I appreciate all of you, by the way, on the accidentlawfirm.com sending me the get well, which was very, very nice of you. What else do we have here? WWF is hurting for money. They're trying to sell to Amazon, Bezos. XFL might not come back. Okay. Well, right now, I don't think that stuff is hurting. I don't think wrestling is hurting. I think what he did was, I don't think what you understood. McMahon sold some of his stock in wrestling to finance the XFL, and so he can try to get that ball rolling in that direction. That's what he did. I believe that's what it was behind what I think I read that somewhere. Okay, so yeah, it's not it's not what you think it is. And I don't think wrestling is hurting by any stretch, man. The attendance, the ratings are still there. People love it, man. I may not love it. I may not be a fan much of it. Hell, you those of you that have followed my show a lot. In fact, Chris Jericho was retweeting some of our stuff the other day, and I've had Jericho on my show, and I've told the story many times. Obviously, Chris Jericho, very famous wrestler. I brought him on my show. We didn't talk wrestling, not one bit. Because I know he's a metal guy and he has his own band and all that. We talked music the entire time. Now he loved me for talking music the entire time instead of the wrestling because that's what he gets all the time. And he kind of wants to be known as a rocker now as much as a wrestler. You know what I mean? Obviously he still loves wrestling and loves what it did for him and his name. And he's a great dude. I don't know if you've ever met Chris Jericho, but like one of the coolest cats out there. And so I think he appreciated the fact that I was coming from another angle and another accomplishment of his, and something that he, obviously wants people to like. And I like his stuff. I think Fozzy does a really good job overall. They're a really fun band to watch. And I think he enjoyed that. Now, while he enjoyed it that I came from that angle, I was brutally honest with him. I said, "Hey man, I know you're a wrestler and all that, but I don't follow wrestling. I've never been a real wrestling fan." And he was cool with it. Because I wasn't going to BS the guy. I'm not going to bring him on and, tug his chain and then lie on the air like, Oh yeah, no, I watch you guys on whatever SmackDown or TNT or whatever those things are called. It's not who I am. I've never been that guy. Even from when I was a kid, I couldn't even stand watching Mil Máscaras for my Hispanic brethren out there. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of my Hispanic brethren out there, did you see what happened with J Lo and Shakira? Well, apparently, a lot of people weren't happy with J Lo and Shakira's halftime show. Yeah, according to reports, the halftime show had 1,300 FCC complaints, and it led me to the last conversation, right? And where I'm telling you about Mil Máscaras in wrestling. Well, as a 53-year-old man growing up here in South Florida, born and raised in South Florida, we've always had the Latin channels on. And when I was a child, my parents would always have somebody by the name of Idis Chacon on. And for those of you that are that don't speak Spanish, in other words, for my Anglo friends out there that aren't normally watching Spanish programming, I know some of you guys will stop to watch the Spanish programming because the women are incredibly hot. So you'll stop and you won't understand a damn word, but you're just looking at the women like going, wow, she's smoking. And then when she's off the screen and another hottie doesn't come on, then you'll switch. But if another hottie comes on, you'll stay there for a couple of more moments. Your wife or your friends will say, what are you doing? I don't understand anything. You're looking at them going, do you have to? And that's kind of like what the halftime show was. Do you have to really worry about the music or anything else? No, you had two incredibly beautiful women on stage with a great performance. Okay. Again, I grew up with Idis Chacon, so there's no way. I was already trained with these kind of performances when we were back in the 70s. Okay. I think Idis might be all the way from the late 60s. I don't know. I don't know what's the first year that she was on television showing her. And she, by the way, is the originator of the big booty. Okay. The big booty came there. It's just, it then followed and it was just normal booties for many, 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 many years until the Kardashians of the world arose. But it really, the godmother of booty is Idis Chacon. I want to just lay the facts out there because some people might say, oh, no, it's Kim Kardashian. No, 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 no. Those of us in the Latin community, we were way ahead of big booty performances in public before anybody with Idis Chacon. So the complaints were rolling in. The halftime show last night was beyond inappropriate. Shakira laying on her side, gyrating like sex. Lopez on a stripper pole. Lopez bending over to expose her butt crack. Both performers grabbing their vaginas. Shakira grinding her butt against some tinfoil wearing man's pecker. This was incredibly offensive. My children were watching. 1,312 pissed off people complained to the FCC. Not one of them was Latin. Not one. Guaranteed. Okay? Not one. And the people complaining, they probably weren't living in progressive areas like South Florida, like New York, like California. They were probably living in Tennessee, Alabama, Indiana. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, here's some more of the complaints. Completely inappropriate halftime show with simulated orgies, stripping, and borderline pornography. This is a family event during prime time and should have never happened. I do not subscribe to the Playboy channel. We do not buy porn for $20 a flick. Is that what it costs? How do they know? How do they know how much it costs? Does it really cost that? Or does it cost anything? Because don't you get it for free now on the internet? Anyway, we simply wanted to sit down as a family and watch the Super Bowl. God forbid we expected to watch football and a quick concert, but instead had our eyes molested from a Tennessee family that they wrote. Which, by the way, J-Lo the other day tweeted out a picture of her in a bikini. And my Lord. Wait a minute. There we go. What did I do? All right. Hold on a second here. Internet's kind of slow here. All right. Well, I'll bring it up again. Whenever I bring it up, whatever. But anyway, so unfortunately, I mean, there it is. Took a little bit. The iPad must be in its 50s, like me. There you go. Look at that. That's 50. Now, are you supposed to like take this picture and show it to your wife? So unfair, right? So unfair. It's not even funny. Anyway, so you got all these people complaining about J-Lo and Shakira. Now, they had to have been all women or really conservative men, right? Because a normal red-blooded male would be like, do we need to go back to the game? Really? We don't need the game. We can play the game next year. Play the second half next year. Just keep this show going a little while longer. Right? I mean, that's really what most of us would be saying. Dougie Fresh goes, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that all of those FCC complaints, women who lost battles against carbohydrates and the calendar. Yeah, that would be it. All right, let's do this. Let's take a really quick break. When we come back, Manny Navarro is going to join us. We're going to get our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report. That comes next.
Plus tax, tech title. It includes $8.99 dealer fee on approved credit offers and 11/10/19. Over 1,500 Toyotas are on the ground, and truckloads of new 2020 Toyotas just keep on coming. To eliminate all 2019 models, Toyota of Hollywood is holding the ultimate 2019 model year changeover event. Make us an offer, any offer, and you can buy a Toyota at up to 50% less than their original MSRP when new and used. 50% less. A pre-owned 2019 RAV4, not $30,000, $19,775. A pre-owned 2019 Camry LE, not $26,000, $17,775. A pre-owned 2019 Corolla LE, not $22,000, $12,775. Pay up to 50% less at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for 2014 to 2018 per SET on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street. Open till midnight.
The world's biggest band is coming twice. Metallica. Headlining the Welcome to Rockville Music Festival. 2 different nights, 2 different sets. The weekend of May 8th through the 10th. Go to welcometorockvillefestival.com for all information. Get your tickets on sale right now. The one, the only Metallica. Go to welcometorockvillefestival.com.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
All righty, welcome back. We are going to talk now with Manny Navarro. Yes, sir. We're going to talk a little Canes football, or Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report. We do it every week with Manny, normally on Tuesdays, by the way, but this time we're doing it a little different now because of my setbacks this week. Manny was kind enough to accommodate us and join us now. Manny, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great, I'm actually sitting here in, I guess, the convention center here in downtown Indianapolis. We had our meetings, our college football meetings with folks from the Athletic. I'm sitting next to Chris Perkins, my buddy from the Athletic who covers the Dolphins. So things are going good, man. How are you?
So you guys are there the same week of the combine?
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Well, he's only here. It's only for a few hours. He's flying home tonight. So I'm getting here and he's leaving. So.
Okay. All right. I like it. All right. Good stuff, man. What are you guys doing there? What are you covering with the Canes there?
Well, I mean, obviously there's 8 guys here at the combine working out, trying to impress scouts, etc. But I'm not so much focused on that. I'm more here for the meetings with the people from college football. Perk was here for the combine, check out the workouts and do some interviews with players who were meeting with the media. So just a busy time, man. It's like Indianapolis sort of the perfect place to be this week for football people.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, man. So what's the buzz there for Tua? What are you feeling since you've been there?
Well, I'm gonna ask Perk. What's been the buzz for Tua, man? Maybe I'll get you on for a guest appearance here.
Yeah.
You can tell him.
Put on the Perkmeister. Put on the
Here,
Perkmeister. Let me see what the Perkmeister says. How about that?
No,
We get Manny and Perk in the same interview. That is just that's double bonus right there, baby. How you doing, Perk?
I'm doing well, man. I'm recovering from knee replacement surgery a month ago. I hope you're doing well, man, with the kidney stone.
Yeah, well, the kidney stone I passed on Monday, but then I was getting a gout attack at the same time, and I thought the pain was from the kidney stone. But then when the stone passed, and I go to my wife, hey, the kidney pain is gone. We passed the stone, but I still got a lot of pain on my hip and what's going on here? And I realized that since it's all, what's it called, uric acid related, I got screwed.
Yep.
I also got gout. So I'm still recovering a little bit from my knee. My knee still hurts a little bit, but we're almost there, bro. We're almost 100%. We're good, bro. We fight through, bro. You know how I am. I ain't going to stop.
Yep, I know how you are, man.
I ain't going to stop.
Let me tell you something. Tua is doing better than both of us. So that tells how we're doing, doesn't it? But according to reports, and he was very optimistic and confident when he spoke on Tuesday. He said he expects to get full medical clearance on March 9th, and he expects to do his own pro day. He said he might not do the Alabama pro day, but he's going to do his own pro day. So he's apparently doing very well. He thinks, matter of fact, he said that he should be ready for OTAs and that he would definitely be ready for a season opener. So, Tua's doing better than both of us, man.
Yeah. That talk is cheap, and no NFL team is going to play him in week 1 with that hip not being healed up for a whole year at least. So that's where I have, he can say all he wants right now at this point. They can spin out all these positive things. The bottom line is what doesn't change is he's injury prone. And that's the part that's the part I can't get over. And I'm wondering, how do NFL teams get over that? Because look, man, nobody wanted Devontae Parker more than I did. And I knew he had some injuries in college. Well, it kept going in the NFL for 4 years. And it took his 5th year to have his most productive year because he was finally healthy. Yatil Green was a sack of injuries at the U. And those injuries, by the way, weren't nearly as serious as Tua, but he kept constantly breaking down in the NFL. There is a trend, Perk. It's really hard to, when you are injury prone, there's a good chance you're going to stay that way. So why would you think any different with this guy? That's the part I don't understand.
I'm not sure that teams think any different. He is a medical red flag. There's no doubt. But he's a quarterback, and he's a highly rated quarterback, and he's a quarterback who has won. And so teams are going to roll the dice on him. How high that is, I don't know. But I would be surprised at this point if he's there at number 5. I think if the Dolphins win him, they're going to have to go up and get him. But things are as optimistic as possible, and I'm sure that's what every NFL team wanted to hear, and everybody believes that message. Look, NFL doctors put their hands on him. He said he got to the hospital at 10 a.m. and he didn't leave till 7:49 p.m. But we haven't heard any rumors of of a team saying his hip doesn't feel right or his ankles don't feel right. No team is going to say it. You'd have to hear it on the down low, but we have not heard that yet. And so with that, I will pass the phone back over to your appointed guest, Manny Navarro. Good to talk to you, man.
All right, my brother. Thank you. Thank you. You are the best. So there you go. You get a little Tua feel for that. I know. It's awesome. Would you draft him at 5, Manny? Or first of all, would you trade up for him to 3? Or would you draft him at 5? Which one of the two? Or would you not touch him at all is the third option in the top 5 picks?
Well, I think, look, the number one thing in football, man, for me, is a franchise quarterback. I still think this is the draft to do it. I mean, these guys, I think, are going to be, I don't know if they're Hall of Fame quarterbacks, but they're certainly going to be guys that I think have long careers in the NFL. And I think if you're Miami, you just went through all this losing, get the franchise quarterback. That to me is the number one priority. You could always continue to build in the years to come. They're not going to make the playoffs next year. They're not going to go from what they just did this last season to being a contender in 1 year. This is a multi-year project, so they've got draft picks for next year. To me, if you got to use a couple first rounders to move up and get the franchise quarterback, do it. Is Tua that guy? Ultimately, I mean, I think so. I think he's probably the best quarterback in this draft. But you got the health questions, and I think ultimately the Dolphins doctors will make that determination. But to me, I think he's probably the best guy, and I'd say Joe Burrow is probably too. But to me, either one of those guys, you get them, they're the franchise quarterback that you need probably for the next decade.
So you're not going to be ripping them for trading up then?
I'm not, because
okay.
Again,
all right.
they're not a year away from winning. This is a multi-year rebuild, in my opinion. To really get to be good, it's a multi-year rebuild. And if you can get a franchise quarterback in the first round, that is really going to, be around for the next decade and lead you when you are good to wins and deep in the playoffs and maybe the Super Bowl, then that's what you do. I just think this is the year to get the quarterback.
Okay, I'm with you. Manny, what'd you think of the Canes baseball team after the weekend, man? It's sad that they got swept. Sucked, man.
Yeah, it sucks for them. Gino obviously done a good job closing the gap against Florida, but look, this Florida Gators baseball team just won national championship in 2017. They're continuing to recruit well. They're a good team. You went to extra innings twice. You lost 2 heartbreakers to them. It's going to happen. And this program still hasn't gotten to the point where it's turned the corner. That said, this is a long season, man. I mean, play 50-something, 60-something games in the regular season. They got plenty of time to turn this around, and maybe by the end of the season, they're a better team than Florida is, and we'll see what happens in the playoffs. But, it's disappointing if you're a Hurricanes fan because you're hoping you're number one in the country. You're hoping, okay, this is a special team. But I think, there's some issues still with the offense. They didn't hit a whole lot against Florida. They didn't produce a lot of offense. You're missing your star shortstop who was injured the week before the start of the season, and you're trying to replace him in your lineup. That's not easy to do. So, but they're still a good baseball team, and I think as long as by the end of the year they're going upwards, not trending backwards, and I think they're going to have a really good shot in the college baseball playoffs to get back to Omaha because they're a talented team. They're still a very talented team.
All right, so you're there at the Combine also covering all the Canes that are coming in to the league. When you look at the 2 linebackers, Quarterman and Pickney, man, I thought Shaq really struggled in coverage, my man. I think he's going to end up being a third-day guy, because of that, because at best he's a 2-down linebacker. What are you hearing on behalf of him and Pickney?
Well, Pinkney, it turns out this week, Jason LaConforna reported this, but Pinkney had a torn labrum in his hip that apparently he played with his entire senior year. So that's going to affect him and the recovery of, sure he's going to have surgery and everything and get better. But, he's a guy I think a team will still take a chance on because he was a 4-year starter at Miami, because he was productive. I think he's got an NFL future because he is better in coverage than Shaq is, faster as well. But to me, Quarterman, he's going to have to run a good 40 on Saturday. That's going to be key for him because I think the knock on him, not just the fact that he can't cover, but that he's not as fast as he should be. And I think that's one thing he's trying to disprove. I wrote about that this week for The Athletic about Quarterman and the 8 guys who are coming up here. He wants to run a 4.68. I mean, that's not blazing fast, but I think for an inside linebacker, he can run a 4.68 in the 40. and show that, you know, his toughness. I mean, that's one thing I think every NFL team values is a guy who is durable, fights through injuries, can stay healthy. That's one thing that I think will keep him in the league for a while. Will he be a starting middle linebacker in today's game? I think it's just going to be more about the right fit, which team really sees value in him. But I think I like Shaq a lot. I like his personality. I think he's a good kid. I think he's got a future in the NFL. But you're right. It's going to be a day 3 pick. No team is going to give him take him in the first 3 rounds for sure.
So who's the guy that people are talking about the most? Like, okay, this is a guy that really intrigues us. I'm thinking it might be Trayvon, right? The defensive end.
Trevon Hill, yeah, he's got the really spectacular pass rushing skills and abilities, and you know he played in the Senior Bowl and showed some flashes, I guess, throughout the practice out there. And I think, you know, of all the guys, people see maybe the most upside with him, but it's really just a matter of taste, because you look at what all these people have been writing about all 8 of those prospects. You know, some people are saying DJ Dallas is going to be the best NFL player out of the group. I know some people think John Garvin, who's 6'4", 255 pounds, defensive end. He needs to add more weight to play in the league, but they think, okay, he's got the most upside. You know, I don't know. I think it's just a matter of taste right now. I know this. None of these guys are going to go on the first or second day. I think they're all going to be, 4th, 5th, 6th round picks. And some guys may not get drafted at all, just like last year. You know, we were all sitting there scratching our head. You know, Gerald Willis had one tremendous season at Miami, but yet that still wasn't enough for him to get an NFL team to use a draft pick on them. So I think some guys will go undrafted. I don't think all 8 will get picked. But some guys will get taken, and if they fall with the right team, then they have a chance.
Manny Navarro, of course, joins us every week for our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report. And, of course, you can follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Go to Caneswear at 2511 South University Drive in Davie. They have the new Inter Miami jerseys. So if you want one, go get it. All kinds of stuff there. Let's see, what else do we have? Dude, Art Kehoe. What's the latest with Art Kehoe after the stroke? I heard it wasn't a big stroke. How's he doing?
Yeah, well, listen, I haven't had a chance to speak to Art myself, but I've talked to a couple of his former players, including Kelvin Harris, who does the podcast with me. And Kelvin did talk to him over the phone, and I think the feeling is, he's going to probably need some surgery. I think he tore his hip up recently. Obviously, the stroke wasn't as maybe as grave as some people initially thought.
Still
he's
scary.
Going to be able to recover from that. Yeah, so he's not in great shape, man. Physically, obviously, there's going to be a lot of recovery and stuff that he has to do. But I think in terms of threat of him dying or something terrible like that, I don't think it's to that extent. I think it's just a guy who's going to have to do a lot of rehab and hopefully, he gets better. I know he's very beloved in the Hurricanes community, and people love Art. They was there for all 5 championships, the one link between all 5 championships, and hopefully he gets better, man. But it's going to take time, and I think we'll have to see where he is in 6 months.
One of the best dudes you'll ever deal with is Art Kehoe, man. He's just a really, really good man overall. Definitely prayers for him and hopefully recovery there. I know, Manny, it's our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report, and we talk a lot of football normally, but there really isn't a lot going on. I don't know what to ask you football-wise. Is there anything recruiting?
Spring football starts Monday.
Okay, but it hasn't happened yet. You know what I mean? Then there's news. I mean, but outside of that, do we have any kind of news? I don't think there's really much on the Canes football front, right?
No, the only news, there's one position switch, and it's a kid who's a sophomore safety,
right?
Keontra Smith from Chaminade. He's an All-American. He's moving to striker, so that'll be interesting to see. Obviously, a striker position is like an extra safety anyway, but it's interesting that he was the one move that they made. Everybody else is pretty much in the same spot from when they were recruited. So, there's plenty of storylines as far as what to watch here over the spring.
Right.
Guys that are going to be competing for jobs and whatnot. But you're right. Yeah, unfortunately, it's the quiet period, man.
Right.
It's been about 2 hours.
And nothing recruiting wise, right? Nothing recruiting.
Yeah, nothing recruiting that's new. I mean, I spent about 2 hours on the phone talking to those guys. The recruiting department wants a story I'm going to be doing for the Athletic soon. But As far as anything new and any new developments, not really. I mean, they're at nine commitments for the 2021 class. And, March will be a busy month, though, because they're going to have all these teams coming down to visit practices. And my guess is they're going to, probably land a quarterback commitment next month, and we'll see which one it is. But, yeah, it'll start to pick up here real quickly once practices get going.
All right, good stuff. The Wide Right podcast, my man. Tell them about it so they can lock it in.
Yeah, just really check it out. I tweeted it on Manny_Navarro on Twitter. It's the Wide Right podcast. It's available on Apple for free downloads. I think it's on Spotify as well, and available at theathletic.com for subscription. And if you follow the link actually on Apple Podcasts, you can get 40% off. I tweeted it last night as well as far as a subscription to The Athletic. I always tell people to use that, man, because everybody's like, I don't want to pay for content. Well, we're always putting out sales, man. There's always 40% off this, 50% off that. $4 a month anyway is the regular cost. So if you're going to pay 40% off, if you're paying $2 and change for a monthly subscription, I think it's worth it. So just check out the podcast. We went into previewing a lot of those storylines for spring football next week. Calvin Harris and I and my producer, Mike Zimmerman, who's a huge Hurricanes fan and very knowledgeable. We love just getting together and talking Canes, the three of us. So it's a good podcast previewing that and talking a little bit about the combine. So I would tell listeners to check it out.
There you go. And follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Are you enjoying the Heat action, by the way, last night? Did you enjoy that? I mean, dude, you lose to Cleveland, Minnesota, and Atlanta in the last week or 8 days or 9 days, whatever the hell it's been. Are you kidding me, bro?
Andre Fernandez, who covers the Heat for us, I was on the phone with him quite a bit, and looking at the stats over the last 26 games, Miami has the worst defensive rating in the league in the fourth quarter, and that's really what this all comes down to. Just blowing leads in the fourth quarter and just playing really piss poor defense in the fourth quarter is why they've lost 14 out of their last 26 games, and nothing bothers Eric Spoelstra more than that. So I would fully expect that they will be practicing defense, and getting that right here before the playoffs begin.
I have my theory. You want to hear it?
Go ahead, give it to me.
They're coming back to reality. They were a team that has the stronger training camps than everybody else. They came out better prepared than everybody else, so they went 24-8. And they got a lot of people by surprise, including Houston and Milwaukee, where they beat them without Jimmy Butler. So the excuses now, whether Jimmy's nicked up or Tyler Hero, don't count when you lose to sorry teams. The bottom line is they're evening out is what's happening in this season. They weren't a 3 or 4 or 5 seed. They're probably more of a 6, 7, or 8 seed. This is exactly like the fraudulent Panthers of a couple of years ago that had that 12-game winning streak in the middle of the season with Gallant, and that's what catapulted them into the playoffs, and then they got bounced. What's going on now is this is a young team that their bodies and their minds are not developed yet. And so Duncan and Tyler and Chris Silva and Tyler Hero, all these guys have to develop their bodies and their minds to play defense for 82 games in a brutal NBA season. And that to me is the whole thing. It's just balancing out. We're going to end up probably in a 6 or 7 seed because, well, maybe the Philly injuries might save their ass, but the Pacers will probably pass them up. And then they're going to end up a little higher than they should have, just like that Panthers team, because they started 24-8. But in the end, they're going to have the season that they were supposed to have. They're a bottom ringer playoff team with a first round exit. That's it. They're actually having the season they're supposed to have. It's really not. It looks terrible now because it's 14-16, or no, 12-14 in the last 26. It looks terrible, but it's really just balancing out. This is who they are. That's it.
Well, I mean, I think your greater point of they're just not one of these teams is more true. I think every team that isn't a first or second seed, they go through periods like this during the season where they play 500 basketball or sub 500 basketball. And I think you're right. I think, a lot of this is some of those young players not having played 82-game schedules, playing the college schedule, the grind of playing defense for 48 minutes.
Right.
you know, I mean, that's what happens to a team that's as young as Miami is. And again, this is, to me, more than anything, this is a firm reminder to every fan out there that it really does take superstars. You know, it takes guys that are transcendent players to be the best team in the league and to consistently win. And this team, yes, they have Jimmy Butler and yes, they have Bam Adebayo, two nice pieces. But again, you know, can those guys alone carry a team to 50 wins, to 60 wins? No.
They don't have a closer. They don't have a closer, dude. That's what they have to acquire next year. Because if you do, let me tell you something, Manny, you wait 2 years from now when they have the cap space, Jimmy Butler's even worse by then. He's not even a really good three anymore at that point. Okay?
That's why I like hearing Pat Riley said you have to take advantage of Jimmy's years now and not sort of wait for this youth to grow up type of deal.
That's right.
And I think the Heat, you know, they're going to be aggressive. I mean, look, they're going to have some money next year, right? There's going to be some money coming off the books. They're going to be able to make some moves. This is more than anything. This is going to tell Pat Riley that, hey, we still got another move to make. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo are not enough. We like the young guys. Maybe we keep one or two of them, but we're gonna have to move some pieces to really become a contender. And I think that's what's happening here.
No doubt. Follow him on Twitter at Manny Navarro, Manny_Navarro. More importantly, catch his work at The Athletic. He does an excellent job pumping out at least 400 columns a day, even with one arm. How's the arm?
I got some bad tendonitis, man. I'm gonna have to go see an orthopedic and see how bad the tears are. I think I got some tears in there, but for now, you know, I'm rested up for a few hours in the sling and try not to sit in front of my computer all day. So,
all right. So I'm gonna call George Rojas and bitch that he's had you write 800 articles a day, and that's why you've torn your arm out. Okay, let's just be honest now.
All right, anything to get me some vacation, man. I'm all for it.
It's all. You're such a BSer, bro. You'd be on vacation writing 10 articles a day. Okay, knowing your ass, you crazy bastard.
This has technically been sort of vacation. Instead, I'm writing Marlins, and doing baseball, and writing all this other stuff.
Basketball, everything, dude. Yeah. You're covering Jags. You're everywhere, bro. You're a stud.
Well, I appreciate that. I like being here in Indianapolis because at least here, you know, the people from The Athletic see me and they're not asking me for a story. We're meeting, we're hanging out. So this is a little bit of a break.
Are they going to treat you to a steak, by the way, a St. Elmo's and a little shrimp cocktail?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's where I might be headed here soon.
Okay. All right.
So,
all right. Well, I'll be.
Go grab something to eat.
I am so jealous you're going to have that shrimp cocktail and I can't, man. That sucks. But next year we'll be back on the combine trip. All right, my brother. You're the best. Thank you for taking some time.
All right, man. Good talking to you.
You got it. There you go. The great Manny Navarro, man. From The Athletic, covering the Miami Heat on a daily basis. As always, we love having him on every single week. At the top of the hour, we're going to have Michelle Kaufman from the Miami Herald. That's where Manny Navarro used to work, at the Miami Herald. Now, a lot of people used to work at the Miami Herald. Now, a lot less people do. Something's going on in media, right? A lot of people used to work at QAM. Yeah, they're down to one show. Yeah, that's media's not a lot of fun, man. Whatever you do, kids, okay? Don't get into media. Please. All right? Don't get into media. Whatever you do, don't bother. It's a terrible business. Okay? It's not one that you're going to enjoy. Michelle Kaufman will join us at the top of the hour. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes here, and we'll come back. We'll continue with our conversations. We got a bunch of things that I want to get into. I want to get into some stuff with basketball, a couple of funky stories, a little music that I want to talk about, and plenty of football also before we get to Michelle Kaufman, as she will be talking about the other kind of football at the top of the hour, coming to you live from Toyota of Hollywood.
Thinking about buying or refinancing a home? Act now. Home values are ticking up. Don't put off making a move any longer. Call Michael Kodsey now at Choice Mortgage Bank, 561-441-2730, while mortgage interest rates are still at historical lows. Call now to get pre-approved and buy your dream home. If you're currently paying over $800 a month for rent, call 561-441-2730 now before interest rates go up. Down payments as low as 3.5%. Veterans may qualify for no money down. If you own a home, but you're upside down, Michael Kodsey can help. If you're being denied by your bank or your loan process is taking too long, call 561-441-2730. Act now while fixed rates are still under 3.5%. Offices in Boca and Boynton Beach. Rates and terms subject to change daily without notice. Equal housing lender. NMLS 122081.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million, whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
The world's biggest band is coming twice. Metallica. Headlining the Welcome to Rockville Music Festival. 2 different nights, 2 different sets. The weekend of May 8th through the 10th. Go to welcometorockvillefestival.com for all information. Get your tickets on sale right now. The one, the only Metallica. Go to welcometorockvillefestival.com.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.